Welcome to FAB Conversations. I am Sonu Bhasin, and FAB is Families and Business. This is a podcast where we have conversations about people, about business people, and of course, family businesses. Before I start my conversation today, I do urge you to subscribe to my podcast. The conversations are pretty interesting, even though I say so myself. So do subscribe to it, it is completely free to you. So, my guest today. Today, I have with me Vineet Agarwal, who is the Managing Director of the Transport Corporation of India, TCIL, as it is known popularly. He runs a business group that is India's largest leading logistics and supply chain solutions provider. It works with businesses to help them reach their customers more efficiently. But this sounds like a lot of complicated stuff. Supply chain solutions and logistics, etc. I like to think of the TCI group as the cardiovascular system or our country. Just like our body depends on our heart to pump blood through the network of arteries and veins to keep it going, I can almost visualize the TCI group as the center of action, pumping all material and products through their transport system to almost every part of India to keep the country going. And they move close to 2.5% of India's GDP by cargo value each year. And, it's like pretty impressive. And in the center of all this action is Vineet, who joined the family business at a young age in his early 20s. And since then, he has been able to transform the group into much more beyond than the trucking business that it used to be till the 1990s. And I look forward to hearing from him how he was able to do all of it in a family business that started in 1950s. So welcome to FAB Conversations, Vineet. Good to see you as always. Today we have met by appointment. Otherwise, we just keep bumping into each other at random places. So how are you doing today?
Hi, Sonu. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the very generous introduction. It's a pleasure. It's great to catch up again.
Super. So, you are the third generation of the family business. It was started by your grandfather 1956 or 58. And then you, as a teenager, you went off to the US for your studies. And in the 1990s, logistics and supply chain management wasn't even a thing. It was more like आप क्या करते हो हमारा ट्रकिंग का business है. So after the US, which gave enlarged your worldview, exposed you to the world, what made you come back to this business that was somewhat non-oomphy? I mean, did you not want to start something which was more with it?
So yes, the business started in 1958 by my grandfather as a one man, one office, one truck from Calcutta.
Yeah.
And the story goes that when he started the first truck, he borrowed a lot of money, and that truck actually caught fire. So he actually borrowed more money and paid off everyone so that the business could run, and that actually established him as a businessman who really valued customers
Yeah.
at the topmost way to really grow businesses. And those are some of the principles we followed across our journey as well.
Hmm.
And that journey comes through something called CORE, C-O-R-E, customer focus as being one of them. And we'll go back to that
Yeah.
soon. In terms of my personal journey, yes, I went to the US, came back, and I think that the time when I came back around 95, 96 was when India had just started to open up, and the kind of growth that was possible in any area was really high.
Mhm.
And I came into a business which was just purely one business, a trucking business. And incidentally, we had just come up from family separation, from a large family separation, and this was a business that my father had got. So he was under a lot of pressure to really see how we can grow this business. There was, of course, a lot of debts that we had accumulated because of the fact that we had to pay off some of our partners.
Right.
Uh, but nevertheless, I think the idea was how do we ensure that the growth continues? How do we ensure that we become more profitable? And how do we ensure that we are able to ride the cyclicalities of GDP
Right.
growth? Because trucking business used to really get affected when GDP growth used to come down. And we wanted to really smoothen that curve over these last few years, over the next few years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we started looking at diversification into many areas from
No, so before you go into, what you did, I do want to stay at that time when
yeah,
you came back and you said that there had been a division of business, I would assume among your father and his brothers. So was there some kind of an emotional pressure on you to say, भाई अब ये business संभालना है और तुमने ही करना है? So was it an external pressure, or was it something that you wanted to do because you realized that this was a business that needed building up? How did you decide? It was because I'm sure it wasn't an easy business even at that time, and not a very uh, I mean, it's not like strategy, which is what all MBAs want to do, sit in an air-conditioned office and do strategy. It is like roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. So,
exactly.
because the reason I'm asking is because a lot of young inheritors of business also come back today after having studied in Ivy League colleges abroad. And some of their businesses are also not the non-UMFI ones, but they are very successful businesses. So, if you can share your mind, what went through your mind at that time, I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people.
Yes, so there was no pressure from my dad saying that, okay, you have to come and join the business. But I felt that I needed to because, well, it was I guess, in many ways, the right timing. And the
Hmm.
amount of learning I could get at that point was just phenomenal. The
Hmm.
first 6 months that I came into the business, I didn't have a table or a chair.
Hmm.
I was traveling almost 25 days in a month. I wasn't married, so that was good. I could travel that.
Yes, I'm sure.
So, uh, but that was phenomenal because we had about 700-800 offices that time, and I could go and visit many of those offices, see how transportation is really done, meet customers at the lowest end. I
Yeah.
used to I used to be in branches where I worked in branches. I used to open the branch, clean the floor, load the trucks, do everything from ground up to really understand. And I
Hmm.
think that's where the concept of strategy really starts kicking in when you know that what happens at the ground level,
Hmm.
you can start building on ideas of how to deal with the future better. Uh,
Agreed.
the business, as you rightly said, was not so sexy as we can call it, but it was something that had a massive potential.
Hmm.
Um, the kind of market share that we had was minuscule, so the opportunity was massive.
Hmm.
And I felt that yes, it is a time that I could really learn the business and start making a difference to the business because
Hmm.
of the inherent strengths we had. Could we use that to change a lot of things? Can we use that to modernize the thought process around? And when you walk into a business that's much older, there are a lot of older people also in the business. There are people who start questioning, अच्छा ये कौन आया है? ये
आप
ये
पढ़ के
लड़का
आए
भी
हो
कहाँ
वहां
से
से,
बाहर
आप
से आया
सोचते
है?
हो आपको सब पता है.
So, well, I took a little bit more different approach where I said, I want to work with everyone.
Hmm.
I respect and honor the work everyone has given to the organization, but we have to also believe in the process of change
Hmm.
because if we do not change, we would be extinct. Uh,
Hmm.
it was a tough journey. I think in
Hmm.
the first 2-3 years of my being part of the company, it
Hmm.
was extremely challenging.
Hmm.
But I think once people understood that we are here to take them along, I think they were less threatened and they were changing. And I'll give you a simple example of we were transitioning from regular telexes, telegrams, and letters to emails.
In the 1990s, emails
Yeah, so in the 90s, I mean, emails had just started
had
really.
just started. Yeah.
So at that point in time, when we were transitioning, everyone used to answer those letters by or emails by printing those emails,
Yeah.
and then somebody would
Writing
write
it
on
up.
that, and then somebody would type it up.
Right.
That itself was a challenge where people said, "No, let's stop printing out those emails and
Hmm.
let's go directly onto your computer and just type it up."
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so, like this, these are small things, but I think the conviction was there that we had to make a change.
Yeah. And I guess that is the conviction that stayed with you when your dad asked you to lead the negotiation with Mitsui, who were there for a joint venture. Uh, Again, you must have been in your 20s at that time.
Yes, I was, I think, 23, 24.
So,
Uh,
and Mitsui must have been these seasoned professionals, and anyway, the Japanese are very impassive. They can sit just nodding their heads, and you don't know what's going on. So, as a young 23, 24, how did you do that?
I think the idea was how can our philosophies match? And
Mm-hmm.
we as a company have always believed that we are long-term thinkers. We are very people-oriented, and for us, customer is first. I
Yeah.
think these are the exact principles that Mitsui also had.
Hmm.
And that really helped us to think through, at least I could really communicate those effectively to them, and that's where the connection was strong and deep. And now we're into 26 years of this particular joint venture, and I mean we both trust each other very very highly. And in fact, we
Yeah.
have another joint venture with them that was established about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think the fact that they also respected me as a youngster, the fact that
Hmm.
I could bring about points along with the team and talk to them in that same level, I think that gave them a very high degree of confidence that yes, we were the right partners.
So did
And
you
we
at
were also
any,
much the most organized.
yeah, sorry, but did you at any stage feel apprehensive or underconfident? How did you, stir up your confidence? Because you were 23, 24, and here you had to negotiate something for the business. Uh, how did you prime yourself to go into the
If,
meetings?
if I tell you that yes, I was fully confident, I can say no. It's not true.
Yeah.
There were bouts of oh, how I'm going to do this, and but I think the biggest strength behind this was my dad and my father, who kept saying, no, this is not a problem. We'll make sure we'll do it, and
Yeah.
he kept saying, okay, do this, do that. In terms of there was a time when we came, okay, these guys want a 51%.
Hmm.
And I was not, I felt that no, we should not. And my dad said, no, look, let's look at the bigger picture.
Hmm.
Let's at some point in time, even if it's 51 or 49, let's structure the joint venture in a certain way. So I was able to work with the lawyers to structure the joint venture that we are working as equals, even though
Hmm.
the ratio might not be the same.
Hmm.
Uh, that confidence I got. And then the other biggest confidence I got was when I told my dad, okay, we are ready with the JV now.
Hmm.
And we need to appoint a chairman because the chairman was from supposed to be from TCI. And he
Hmm.
said, you have to be the chairman.
At 23, 24.
So he
Wow.
said,
Hmm.
because you have done all the work, so why don't you take up the responsibility of leading the company also?
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
that was also gave me a massive amount of confidence that yes, we can take this forward. And let me also talk about that company that in the first 3 years we almost went bankrupt.
And that had nothing to do with your negotiation skills.
No, it was the negotiation that we and the company officials did with our customers, and we
Hmm.
did some wrong pricing. So I
Hmm.
again went, the company was established in Bangalore. I again went to Bangalore and I went to Japan, spent a lot of time there with our principals and convinced them how we needed to change. And
Hmm.
we were then, after that, the company started making profits.
Yeah, great. So, over your last couple of decades that you've been doing this, I'm sure there have been a lot of successes that you've had in your career, maybe some few failures. Would you like to share one particular success that, still brings a smile to your face when you think about it?
I think the fact that we have been able, and it's not just one, but the fact that in the last 20 years or so, we have done established three joint ventures, created five new divisions, and grown the business multiple times. And the stock market itself, at the stock level, we've delivered a 25% CAGR, a 35% CAGR returns for 25 years now.
35
35% year on year,
year on year.
for 25 years.
That's phenomenal.
And I think that itself is a reward. I mean, that is the way, that is success.
Yeah.
So there's no one point, there's no one thing. And that only way was possible by trusting people, uh,
Hmm.
giving them the responsibilities of leading the businesses that they were entrusted
Hmm.
with,
Hmm.
and trusting them wholly and completely with everything. Uh,
Hmm.
we at a family level work at a strategy level, though
Hmm.
we don't do day-to-day pricing or decision making.
Yeah.
They run the businesses. And even at that time, and almost 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, we stopped signing checks in the company as promoters. We were not giving.
Money, you
Uh,
moved online or what?
no, there was no online that time. Online was
Huh.
came in much later
Actually, you stopped signing checks, money. You delegated that responsibility to somebody else.
in the company. Yes.
That's huge, actually.
So like this, the trust element was extremely important. Otherwise, we could not grow at all, and that is what I think has held us in good stead.
Hmm. So, I'm going to leave this because what you've said, success is about the business. I was talking more from a personal point of view. So, I'm going to leave it. If during our conversation there's something that comes to your mind, do share it with all our listeners. Um, any failure that you want to talk about?
Well, I think the joint venture itself at one point in time seemed like would almost fail, but fortunately we were able to salvage it. I
Hmm.
think that was a massive learning for us.
Hmm.
We launched a few products and a few things in interim, which did not work out, which was also fine because again the idea was that we are able to learn from our mistakes and then move on for better successes. So I
Hmm.
think all those failures are not forgotten, but they
Hmm.
are remembered for the changes we were able to bring about.
Hmm. So, you talk about learning from failures, you talk about trust, you talk about delegation. Um, is there, you know, is there any incident that where this system of trusting delegation failed, and how do you then quickly figure out who to trust, who not to trust? I mean, do you start with the assumption that you can trust everybody till they prove, you wrong? Or do you start by mistrusting and then people have to slowly over a period of time get you to trust them? See, there are two
No.
ways. I mean, there are some people
Right.
who just
Absolutely. We are
mistrust
very
everybody.
clear on the way. We trust everyone.
You trust everybody.
That's the basis. Because if you do not start with that basis, you will start with a mindset that
Yeah.
look, oh, I have to keep checking everything that person is doing. Once in a while, there could be incidents where somebody might betray that trust,
Yeah.
but which is fine. It happens. It's human nature, I think.
Hmm.
However, as a company, we have set up the checks and balances to
Hmm.
ensure those things don't happen. Uh,
Hmm.
but again, we believe fundamentally believe that we trust everyone.
Hmm. And you talked about your people and the fact that attrition is very low in your organization, and you do recruit people from the villages, and you go to the business schools and you recruit people from there. I had a couple of questions around that. So, when we talked about strategy and how all MBAs all want to just from day one get into the office and develop strategy, do the MBAs you recruit have to go through the grind? Do you put them through the grind or no?
Yes, everyone goes through the grind to some
And
extent.
still they join you? That is
Yes,
wonderful.
uh, we have actually. I think it's the culture of the organization.
Yeah.
I think a supply chain and logistics company like ours cannot really say that you can be devoid or away from operations
Hmm.
because customer is depending on you for that operations only.
Hmm.
So your strategy or the way that you operate can only be dictated by how well that you understand that operations.
Right.
Hence, everyone needs to go to the field. And that is a culture that, look, you start there, you understand what happens there.
Yeah.
And then you come to the necessary boardrooms or places of decision making and strategy formulation. Uh,
Hmm.
and for us, strategy is never set in stone. It
Hmm.
always keeps moving
Hmm.
because market is so dynamic.
Hmm.
In the past, people used to make 1+6 year kind of programs. We don't do that anymore. We do
Oh,
1+3, and which is also every year we change that
right.
because it has to be dynamic in today's scenario.
Yeah.
So yes, the guy joins at the lowest level, the guy person or the team member who joins at postgraduate level, everyone goes through a certain amount of orientation and induction. Everyone gets to feel the operations. Everyone starts recognizing the importance of it because when we go to talk to heads of CEOs of companies,
Hmm.
they are interested in how we can deliver,
Yeah.
keep their supply chain efficient.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, what you're saying actually just gladdens my heart because one complaint that I have with all the young MBAs who are joining the workforce is that, they really don't want to go through the grind. They just want to come out of MBA and straight away get into strategy. And I go hoarse, trying to tell them that unless you go through the grind, unless you actually meet the customer, unless you have sold to the customer, you can never be a good CEO. So if you are doing it, I mean, more power to you. And I wish more countries had the courage to do this because one constant pushback is कि अगर हम ऐसा insist करेंगे, we won't have people to come and join us.
I
So
think the other thing that has happened is that those MBAs, etc., who have MBAs or postgraduates who have joined us at that stage and have gone through that grind, some of them are CEOs in the company.
and they would be good CEOs is my assumption.
Not just good. See, I think that creates a thought process that look, there is no glass ceiling. I can keep going up and up in the organization if I'm
Hmm.
performing, if I'm understanding what the business is, and
Yeah.
the business cannot be understood by just being in a room.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. So along with these MBAs, you also, I mean, since you run a large fleet, you'll have a lot of drivers, you'll have a lot of cleaners, and they're a completely different set of individuals with different aspirations, different needs. Uh, just talk about how do you deal with them, what are their special needs, how do you communicate with them, how do you make them and more responsible drivers, because we've all been on highways and we've all cursed at the trucks that are driving on the right side at 20 kilometers per hour on the highway. So how do you get them to be, or do you get them to be better responsible citizens?
So now I'll go back to our core value system, which is core customer ownership, customer focus,
Customer
ownership,
ownership.
responsibility, and responsiveness and empathy.
Hmm.
Empathy is the part that really goes into drivers and how we deal with people on the ground. Um, you have to have a large heart. You have to have a process where you are respecting them, respecting every category of person or people who are working in the organization. When it comes to safety, we have safety programs. We're running something called Safe Safar, which is a program that is not just meant for our drivers, but for drivers across the country.
Mhm.
Apart from that, we also counsel every single driver that goes out in the field. We'll counsel them with a short video if they
Hmm.
are drivers who we are hiring from the market on a one-time basis.
Hmm.
If they are vendors or if they are drivers that are operating our fleet, then
Hmm.
we have detailed counseling sessions with them. Post the journey, we do pre-journey and post-journey counseling
Hmm.
as well. So
Hmm.
if the drivers had a near miss or something, they will come and talk to us about it. And
Hmm.
then we have refresher training programs, KYTs, and other such programs, so
Hmm.
that we are able to really orient them in terms of for having a very high degree of safety standards when they're on the road. And our accident levels are amongst the lowest in the industry. Uh,
Hmm.
we ensure that we are able to really inculcate safety in every single aspect of what we're doing, including even if you're a person with in a car, you
Hmm.
have to wear your seatbelts at the back.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
simple things like that we've really inculcated across in this last 10-15 years.
So they don't drive on the right side of the road. They don't do wrong side driving. So, and if any of our viewers finds a TCI truck doing
Easy.
any of it, they can
Yeah,
send an email to you.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. No, so how do you see for, when you have people who come from MBAs, institutes, or who join you at a management level, it's easy to give them respect. It's easy to, appeal to their self respect. How do you inculcate that bit of self respect and also respect for the job that they do with the drivers and the cleaners, because they are very important part of this entire system, and they need to believe that they're making a difference. How do you do that? Because we all think of drive them as drivers and cleaners. I mean, for example, do your cabs have the cabs, do they have air conditioning or something like that?
Yes, all that is there. I think the respect for the individual is the most important thing. If you start with that, I think everyone is happy to work in any environment, in any scenario.
Hmm.
So that is very critical.
Hmm.
Also, what is the level of care that you're taking? We
Hmm.
also, apart from the Safe Suffer program that we have, we also ran one of the largest programs in the world for actually educating truck drivers on AIDS.
On
So
AIDS.
on AIDS.
Yeah, okay.
So
Hmm.
this is what the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we set up
Hmm. Hmm.
clinics all across the country
Hmm.
and ran that program for 10 years and then subsequently ran that program with the government of India.
Hmm.
Uh, we still do part of that
Hmm.
because the idea was how do we communicate a certain disease that is there, but more effectively, in a more humane way, uh,
Hmm.
and help them go through that process. So
Yeah.
I would credit that program to really bring down the incidence of AIDS in the country with this mobile population.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we have been very active there is always more that can be done.
Hmm.
Uh, this is an area that we've always been very
That,
focused.
yeah. And in a family business, the family values are very important. And you've been talking a lot about this in whatever you've been saying, about, how you treat your people, how do you look at business, how do you look at the customers, etc. It's easy to, to transmit those values when you have people in office who you meet every day, and who also see the family members work or act in a particular manner. But from what I understand, you have 5 times more outsourced employees than you have, on-roll employees. So if you have such a large number of people who don't get to interact with you guys very often, how do you pass on that family value and ethics onto them?
Well, I think every person in the organization is uh, is is a family member who is going to communicate the same values to the next person, to the next person, to the next person.
Hmm.
If we are able to communicate that value system to the people who we see, and they are able to communicate to the next group of people, and so on and so forth, that's the job. That's how we do it.
Hmm.
Uh, it cannot be superficial. You have
Right.
to you have to walk the talk.
Hmm.
It cannot be something that I have said and oh, tomorrow is dictated. No, you have to feel it.
Hmm.
So when you feel it, then you will talk about it, and when you talk about it, you will implement it. So we have gone by those simple, basic principles that just do what you're saying. Don't talk about anything. Don't
Yeah.
create any unnecessary faff around these things.
कथनी और करनी में कोई अंतर नहीं. Do as you say. Let me also then go back to the use of technology. I mean, today everybody talks of AI. Companies have no idea what to do with AI, but all the boards that I'm on, everybody is saying we must do something about AI. Your group has been one of the earliest adopters of technology. I believe you had an MIS officer way back in the 1980s, and you had those IBM computers, etc., when even the best offices didn't have it. So, if you've been a pioneer in all of it, what pioneering stuff are you doing in AI?
Well, we're doing a lot of stuff, specifically things that we don't want to talk about also.
Okay.
But
Competitive advantage and all of that.
well, actually, what happens is that yeah, you start with the basic thought process. The basic thought process is how can I ensure that the customer who is dealing with us has having a great experience.
Hmm.
Then you start with the other basic principle is that the employee who is dealing with the customer, how can he make sure that he's able to deliver that at the simplest possible way and the fastest possible way. Now, with these basic thoughts, we try to look at each process and each system as to see how can we get more efficient, how can we make this better.
Hmm.
And whether we're using simple algorithms to machine learning to now AI, that's an ongoing process.
Hmm.
I think our jobs are going to get much easier in terms of technology with AI because there are a lot of things that are going to be readily available.
Hmm.
But it also makes it tougher because you have to find the right skill sets of people who will do those changes to your IT systems.
Hmm.
But I'm very confident that what is coming in terms of the LLMs and what you can build on top of the LLMs is a game changer. And in the next 1 to 2 years, we will see a massive changes of how you can use technology in business, not just supply chain and logistics, but every business.
No, so I do want to spend 5 minutes just maybe chew your brains on AI because everybody talks about it. Everybody is scared. I think people my generation are scared because we have no idea what AI is all about. People down the line are scared because they fear that they're going to lose their jobs. In what do you see AI doing for people going forward? I mean, are people going to, I'm sure people are going to lose their jobs because a lot of work will be done by AI agents. Just talk about your view of AI and a world with AI.
Definitely, people are going to lose jobs. I,
Mm-hmm.
we shouldn't be worried about it. There will be massive job losses initially. Uh,
Hmm.
then we'll have to find the right kind of jobs for everyone else, for those people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be very blunt about it. I just came back from Silicon Valley about a week ago. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I did meet a lot of people and experienced what is happening there, as well as in the field of software, as well as the changes that are coming. Notwithstanding, I think the it also creates opportunities for those people. What I learned is that the way it can be better for you is when you use AI plus humans will be greater than just AI.
Agreed.
So the idea would be how can you use AI plus humans in everything that you do so that you are able to then move it from just a very robotic process to a little bit more robotic plus process.
Hmm.
And that's where more people would be needed. And that's where the jobs will change. First, we will not understand, we will first move to the simple robotic because that's a quick game.
Hmm. Hmm.
But to move to AI plus humans is a little bit of a longer game. And that's where things will start improving. And when we'll see that the user, we will be able to employ a lot more people back. So I think it is going to be a lot of flux in the next 3, 4 years
Hmm.
around this area.
Hmm.
But there are lots of fabulous opportunities that are going to emerge also.
But the truckers and the drivers and the cleaners are not going to lose their jobs, right?
Well, autonomous trucks are coming as well.
Or drone delivery.
Well, certainly those are also coming.
Hmm.
But how fast they will get ubiquitous in a place like our country is also something that we have to see. It's going to take
Hmm.
some amount of time for some of that technology to really be embedded into our businesses and industries.
Yeah. So, I mean, while there's a lot of excitement and hopefulness about the world going forward, my last question to you is that as you look back, what has given you the greatest joy about your business?
Well, I think the greatest joy has been to see a lot
Don't give
of.
me a Miss World answer, please.
Oh, no, no, no. It's not a Miss World answer at all. I think to see the happiness of so many people in our organization who have started at the most bottom level and have grown to be the top people in the organization, to be CEOs of their businesses. The fact that a lot of people, we started an ESOP program in 2006. A lot of people have got massive amount of benefits out of
Yeah.
the growth in our business and the profitability.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that, and the most important thing around that is the fact that customers really respect us.
Hmm.
They do believe that we are an organization that can help them through their supply chain challenges, and we are a partner that's always going to be there.
Hmm.
We are willing to change as they want us to change also.
Yeah.
Uh, that flexibility as a organization, as a company exists.
Good. So that was my second last question. So my last question is that in the last 25 years or 28 years that you've been, what have you learned about yourself?
Well, I have certainly learned that I needed to take a lot more risks when I was younger. I did not take as many risks as I should have, perhaps.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think more than that, I think I am very happy to deal with people on a daily basis. In terms of, I know, though I'm mostly an introvert, but I still like to deal with people and essentially meet our team members. So I'm happy with that base level gratification that I get. And generally, I just want to make sure as a citizen of the country, we are making a difference to how we are changing the country, how we are part of this change of that the country is going through. So everything that we are doing, we're making a contribution to nation building.
Great. So more
This
power
was a
to
little bit of a misworld answer,
Miss
but
World. I
it's,
know, Vineet, I've been trying to get you out of the Miss World mode, but
yeah.
and like I told you, you look like Macron. So maybe, like in that mode, you're very diplomatic and you give very politically correct answers. But it's been a pleasure and, to talk to you, to get to know more about TCIL. And may that 35% CAGR continue, get even more. May you create more wealth for your employees. And may you continue to be happy. And so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Sonu.